The Atlantic City boardwalk glittered under neon lights, even past midnight. Tourists laughed near the arcades, slot machines chimed from casinos, and the salty breeze carried scents of fried food and cheap perfume. But behind the Ferris wheel, where the carnival lights couldn't reach, a woman's scream shattered the night. Officer Daniel Rourke was first on the scene. He found the victim sprawled against the wooden planks, a young woman in her 20s, dressed in a sequined dress, throat slit cleanly from ear to ear. Her purse was untouched, jewelry still on her wrists. This wasn't robbery, Rourke muttered into his radio. Detective Claire Donovan arrived minutes later, sharp, eyed mid-30s, a reputation for breaking cases others couldn't. She crouched near the body, scanning the scene. Single cut. Professional. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Rourke swallowed hard. You think it's a hit? Donovan didn't answer. Her gaze had locked onto something tucked under the victim's hand, a small carnival ticket stub, smeared with blood. On the back, in jagged handwriting, were 3 words, "This is only beginning." The victim was identified as Emily Carter, a local waitress with no criminal record. Clean life, small apartment, 2 jobs, no enemies. Doesn't fit, Donovan said in the briefing room. This isn't a random kill, but Emily doesn't have the profile of a target. Captain Briggs frowned, unless she saw something she wasn't supposed to. A background check revealed Emily once testified in a minor fraud case involving a businessman named Franklin Madsen. Nothing huge, just tax evasion. Madsen served 6 months and walked free, but Madsen had bigger rumors swirling, mob ties, casino laundering, political donation. If Emily had crossed him, Donovan rubbed her temple. Atlantic City's been quiet too long. If someone wants to send a message, doing it on the boardwalk is perfect. Everyone sees it, everyone talks. Then came the twist. Lab results showed a faint trace of chloroform on Emily's skin. She hadn't screamed until after the cut, meaning she'd been stalked, drugged, and dragged to the boardwalk. Someone wanted the spectacle. 2 nights later, the city held its breath, and then another body dropped. This time it was a casino security guard, found dead in a restroom stall at the Neptune Casino. His neck was broken, his gun missing. In his pocket was another carnival ticket stub with the words, "The house always loses." Donovan's instincts screamed connection. Same ticket, same taunting style, but this victim wasn't random. Either the guard's name was Kyle Denton, and he'd once been on Madsen's payroll before turning state's witness. Rourke whispered, "Someone's hunting loose ends." Donovan tightened her jaw. No, someone's staging a show. Because the killer wasn't just silencing people. He was writing a story, ticket by ticket, body by body. Detective Claire Donovan had learned long ago that in Atlantic City, nothing was coincidence. If 2 people connected to Franklin Madsen were dead within 48 hours, it wasn't random. She and Officer Rourke went to question Madsen at his high-rise condo overlooking the ocean. The doorman hesitated, but eventually buzzed them up. Madsen opened the door wearing silk pajamas, a drink already in his hand. He was in his late 50s, hair slicked back, the kind of man who lived too well for someone who'd supposedly gone legit. "Detective Donovan," he said with a smile. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" She stepped inside, scanning the expensive decor. Emily Carter, Kyle Denton, ring any bells? Madsen's smile faded for a moment, a crack, but then it returned, tragic. But Atlantic City has always had its share of accidents. Donovan tossed the bloody carnival ticket stub onto his glass table. Accidents don't come with calling cards. For the first time, Madsen's eyes hardened. He picked up the stub, studied it, then chuckled. "Detective, if you think I'm behind this, you're giving me far too much credit. Whoever's doing this wants me nervous too, and guess what? It's working." Rourke leaned closer. "So you're saying you're the victim here?" Madsen smirked. "Aren't we all?" As they left, Donovan whispered to Rourke, "He's lying, but not about everything. He's scared, and men like Madsen don't scare easy." 2 days later, the killer struck again. This time, the victim wasn't tied to Madsen. It was Detective Ryan Keller, one of Donovan's own colleagues. He was found in his unmarked car, shot twice in the chest, parked outside a diner he frequented. Pinned to his dashboard with a knife was yet another carnival ticket stub. The message read, "Cops can't play the game." The precinct reeled. Donovan felt the weight heavier than ever. Keller wasn't dirty, he was a straight shooter, a man who'd once mentored her when she was still green. Captain Briggs called Donovan into his office. "Claire, you're too close to this. I should pull you off." She slammed her hand on his desk. "With respect, Captain, if Keller was targeted, then I'm already in the crosshairs. Pull me off and you lose the one person the killer's already talking to." Briggs stared at her, then finally nodded. "Fine, but you play this carefully. We can't afford another cop in a body bag." That night, Donovan poured herself a glass of bourbon in her apartment, staring at the caseboard on her wall. 3 victims, 3 tickets, 3 taunts. Emily Carter, Kyle Denton, Ryan Keller. Different backgrounds, different worlds, but there had to be a thread tying them together. And then she saw it. The carnival tickets weren't random. Each stub was stamped with the name of the same ride, the Devil's Wheel. The Devil's Wheel was an old, rusting Ferris wheel at the edge of the Boardwalk Carnival, more landmark than attraction these days. Half the bulbs were burnt out, the paint was chipped, but locals said it had been running since the 1950s. Donovan and Rourke went to question the carnival manager, a wiry old man named Eddie Russo, who'd worked there his whole life. "The Devil's Wheel," Eddie said, frowning. "Hardly anyone rides it anymore. Too creaky. Costs more to keep it running than it makes. Anyone suspicious hanging around lately?" Donovan asked. Eddie scratched his chin. "Well, funny thing, about a month back, a guy started showing up late nights. Tall, wore a hood, never spoke much. Just stood near the wheel, watching it spin." Rourke frowned, watching or waiting. Eddie shrugged. "Couldn't tell, but he gave me the creeps." As they left, Donovan felt that gnawing in her gut again, the feeling that the killer wasn't just taunting them. He was inviting them into a stage he'd been building for months. And the Ferris wheel wasn't just part of the scenery, it was the center of the play. Back at the precinct, Donovan dug deeper into the archives. She had Rourke pull old cases involving the Devil's Wheel. Most were petty pickpockets, teenage fights, drunk tourists, but then one file caught her eye, a cold case from 1998. A double homicide, a young couple found dead beneath the Ferris wheel, stabbed multiple times. The case was never solved. The investigating officer back then, Detective Ryan Keller, her chest tightened. Keller, the cop just murdered, had once worked this very case, and the female victim in 1998. "Anna Carter, Emily Carter's older sister," Donovan whispered. "Oh my God." Emily wasn't a random victim. She was targeted because of her sister's unsolved murder 25 years ago. Rourke frowned. So Keller investigated Anna Carter's case. Emily was her sister. Denton was security for Madsen. Where does he fit? Donovan tapped the file. Denton was a rookie cop back in '98, one of the first responders, and Madsen, his casino, was under investigation for mob ties that same year. Her hand shook slightly as she traced the connections. Every victim ties back to 1998. The Devil's Wheel isn't just a stage, it's the origin. The killer is punishing everyone who touched that old case. That night, Donovan returned to the boardwalk alone. Rain slicked the wooden planks, neon lights flickered in the mist. The Devil's Wheel creaked above her, its empty carriages swaying in the wind. She wasn't surprised when a figure stepped out from the shadows. Tall, hooded, gloved hands, in one fist, a knife that gleamed under the carnival lights. "I knew you'd come," the voice said, male, calm, almost soothing. Donovan tightened her grip on her service weapon. "You've been killing to settle an old score. Why now? Why after 25 years? The man laughed softly, because no one else would. "Anna Carter was my sister." Donovan froze. "Your sister?" The hood came down, revealing a gaunt face with piercing eyes. It was Michael Carter, Anna and Emily's estranged brother. Records showed he'd disappeared years ago, drifting through shelters and dead end jobs. Michael's voice trembled with rage. They covered it up, the mob, the cops, everyone had a piece. Anna was nothing to them, just another dead girl under the wheel, but to me, she was everything, and Emily, poor Emily, she still believed justice would come. She was going to dig into the old case again. I couldn't let her live. With false hope, Donovan's heart pounded. So you silenced her, your own sister? His eyes glistened with tears. I freed her, and the rest. Keller, Denton, even Madsen, they all played their part in burying Anna's truth. I'm just finishing the story. Before Donovan could respond, Michael lunged. The fight was brutal. Donovan fired, the shot grazing Michael's arm as he slashed wildly with the knife. They struggled near the base of the Ferris wheel, its rusted beams rattling under the storm. Rourke arrived just in time, shouting, "Claire!" as he tackled Michael from the side. The knife skittered across the planks. Michael roared, trying to break free. "You don't understand. They all deserved it." Donovan pressed a gun to his chest. "Maybe they did, but you don't get to play judge, jury, and executioner." Michael's shoulders slumped, the fury drained, leaving only hollow grief. Then who does? The system, the same system that let Anna rot in a cold file. For a moment, Donovan had no answer. She saw the broken man beneath the killer, someone twisted by pain, consumed by vengeance, but the law was the law. She cuffed him as Rourke read his rights. Michael didn't resist. He only glanced once at the Ferris wheel, its lights flickering in the storm, and whispered, "Now the wheel can stop turning." Weeks later, the boardwalk was bustling again. Tourists rode the Ferris wheel, unaware of the blood it had seen. Franklin Madsen vanished from the city, whispers saying he fled to Florida. Detective Keller's funeral drew cops from across the state, and Emily Carter was laid to rest beside Anna's sisters, finally together. In her office, Donovan stared at the case board one last time. She pulled the carnival ticket stubs down, one by one, until only a blank board remained. Rourke entered quietly. "You think Michael was right, that the system failed?" Donovan didn't look up. "Maybe, but if we let grief decide justice, the whole city burns." She turned off the light and left the precinct, the echo of the boardwalk's Ferris wheel creaking faintly in her mind. Thanks for watching.